Coverage of the Rolex 24 at Daytona on David Land is brought to you today by Race 92 Racewear. Check out our 24-hour collection on the David Land tab. Link is in the description below. And by our supporters on Patreon.
All right, here we go. This is it. The day before the 24, and we're here once again on location at Daytona International Speedway. We got a tragically boring Michelin Pilot Sport Challenge race. I don't know what's happened to that series, but for some reason it just hit different this year, and I don't know, it's just weird. That series, for some reason, hasn't been as exciting this year. We're not here to talk about that. There are two major stories that we need to talk about. Obviously, we need to talk about this race and my predictions about what is going to happen tomorrow over the course of 24 hours. But there was some very significant sports car news that broke yesterday, and that is that the GT Le Mans category will be no more next year. That's the class, of course, that Corvette Racing participates in, Ferrari participates in, BMW participates in, and of course the WeatherTech Porsche, the private entered car. And it's a significant development, and I think some people may read into it the wrong way. So hopefully I can help explain a little bit in this video why this is an important moment for sports car racing and actually a good thing in the long run. So what's going to happen next year is that GTD will become the only form of GT car you can enter in IMSA WeatherTech sports car competition. They will not just have one GTD class, they will split the GTD classes into two separate categories, similar to what World Endurance Championship does in their GT Le Mans category, or what they call over there GTE Pro and GTE AM. So next year and beyond, WeatherTech Sports Car will have GTD Pro and GTD AM. GTD Pro is going to be very similar to what we currently know as GTLM. The cars will be GTDs, but they will be allowing manufacturers, full-blown manufacturers, as well as full-blown factory lineups, meaning you don't have to enter a gold a silver or a bronze level driver to meet the regulations to enter that series. GTD AM will be very similar to what we see right now with GTD, where the cars are run by privateers, run by amateur drivers, entered by amateur drivers, driven by amateur drivers, all of those things. Now, you're not limited to only pro drivers in GTD Pro, which is kind of interesting. They are allowing other teams to move up into that category if they so choose. And I certainly hope teams like Lexus, which for all intents and purposes, let's be honest, they're a factory team, will move up into that GTD Pro category and get some of that muddied water out of what should be a truly amateur class. So really, from a long-term stability standpoint with racing, and particularly with sports car racing, I've talked to many people within the industry, particularly some of those insiders, who think that, hey, GT convergence is what needs to happen. And I have to give credit to IMSA. They've actually stepped ahead of the curve here. They've stepped ahead of the French here and have said, look, we can converge GT. We can figure out a way to get these classes, or get this class a little bit more manageable and a little bit more stable. Now, the question everybody's going to be having, of course, what's going on with Corvette Racing? I think most people thought that was the linchpin that was really kind of holding this thing together, particularly when we were talking about the GTLM class. I have some speculation here. We do know for a fact that that Corvette is looking at converting their GTLM car to a GT3, and likely they already agreed to do that, and why we had the announcement we had yesterday. But then I started to think too, will Corvette forego Le Mans? I wonder. Will Corvette continue to race GTLM cars, or GTE, in Europe? Would they go to a full WEC series? Would they enter GTLM cars at Le Mans while racing GTD Pro? How difficult would it be to convert one of those cars? We know the Ferrari's very easy to convert. We know that BMW has their own car, and Porsche has their own car in GT3. I don't know. Lots and lots of questions going forward with GTLM and the state of GT racing in the United States. All right. Enough looking so far in the future. We'll talk about looking into the future in terms of what's going to happen in the next 48 hours, and particularly that 24 in which race cars are on the track. So DPI. That's an interesting class. Probably going to be the most compelling race in the whole of all the 5 races. And of course, it's probably going to go for the overall win. I have 3 numbers for you. 31, 01, and 60. Now, it would be very easy for me to pick a Cadillac, particularly the number 31, because I think it's the favorite. The 01, of course, Cadillac, Ganassi Racing, very winning manufacturer and team at this particular race. But that wouldn't be interesting. I am going to go out on a limb and say the Cadillac streak will be broken at this race, and it will be broken by the Meyer Shank Racing Team with their Acura ARX 05. That's my pick in GTDP, DPI. LMP2, that's an interesting one. As much as I would like to be biased and pick the Dallara, because I love the variety in the class that we've suddenly got, and I think it's going to be very difficult to beat the PR1 and Mathiasen team, the Wins car, the number 52. That's my pick in that class. LMP3, I've been talking a lot of good things about the 74 Ranch Resort car, and I think they will be very strong. But that's only if the AM drivers hand it over to Spencer Pigot and Oliver Askew to handle the lion's share of the driving duties. If that car doesn't stay clean, and I'm wondering if it will, my pick is the number 54 Core Autosport Ligier. I think that will be the car that will be the most consistent over the 24 hours. GTLM, it's hard to pick against BMW because they've won it quite a few times, but I feel like we're at the point where it will be Corvette's year. And considering now there's a little bit of extra incentive, this is the last year of GTLM at this event, I think Corvette Racing, we'll say the number 4 car, will take home the victories in that class. GTD, you could almost throw up a coin. I'll throw some cars out there. Turner Motorsports BMW, look very strong. FAF Porsche, look very strong. Lots of cars could win this race, but I think it's going to be a Ferrari, and I think it's going to be the AF Corsa team. We'll have to wait and see. GTD is going to be that one where you could just say any of the field could theoretically win it, and we'll have to see you guys in, oh, hey, well, there's a crash right there. Did you see that? Wow. I guess that's why we're under yellow. I thought the camera was running out. But, yeah, it should be an exciting race. We got a lot more coverage coming from this trip, by the way. We're going to be doing 2 videos during the 24, one at midnight, a midnight update, and then one kind of reviewing the rest of the race. And then I'm planning on sticking in town because IndyCar is going to be testing at Sebring. Don't know how many cars, but I know at least Team Penske, Ray Hall, Ed Carpenter Racing are going to be there, and I'll be covering that live from Sebring. So stick with this channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Buy you some Race 92 shirts while you're at it. They've been great partners with this channel, and we will see you in the next video.